Thank you. I call this meeting of the Rotary Club of Oakland to order. I am Dudley Thompson, and I have the honor to serve as the president of the Rotary Club of Oakland. We were founded in 1908 and were the third established club of some 36,000 Rotary clubs in over 200 countries around the world. We're a diverse community of some 270 local business, professional, and community leaders who unite to improve local and international communities through a common commitment of service above self. For over 113 years, we have welcomed Rotarians and guests to our club meetings, and I welcome you to this, our 5,374th meeting. If you're a visiting Rotarian or a guest of a Rotarian, please enter your name in the chat box located at the center of the bottom of the screen so that we can recognize you in a few minutes. If you have comments or want to ask a question of the speaker, please use the chat box. And we recommend that you view today's program using Speaker View located in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. For our thought for the day, I invite you to jointly recite our Rotary vision statement. Can you bring that up, Sandeepa? Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Trying to do it again this year. Georgia, you want to get us started here? We can start a couple minutes early and introduce our program.
Sure, absolutely. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. I have the honor of introducing our guest panelists today on the color of ballet. Few Black children have the access or opportunity to pursue a career in ballet. Angela Watson is an exception, and she is committed to setting a standard and blazing the trail for other aspiring Black dancers in the art of ballet. As a member of the San Francisco Ballet Student Training Program, which is their elite group of 12 international ballet students, Angela was encouraged and mentored by the best and wants to do the same for others. Today, we unfold Angela's experience firsthand and offer some history about the color of ballet and how that has impacted Angela's journey. Angela, our future guest, is joined by a panel of experts that include Reginald Ray Savage. Mr. Savage is the artistic director of Savage Jazz Dance Company and chair of the dance department of Oakland School for the Arts. Also joining us is Karlya Shelton-Benjamen, who is a former principal ballerina of the Dance Theater of Harlem and chair of the 152nd Street Black Ballet Legacy. The panel discussion will be moderated by ballerina mom, Carolyn Watson, who has been involved with youth arts and entertainment for over 15 years. We want to try to save time afterwards for Q&A and may be able to answer questions during the discussion. If you have questions, please write them in the chat, and we will focus on those that are consistent with today's topic. With that being said, I now turn over the discussion to our moderator, Carolyn Watson.
Hello, thank you everyone and welcome. Good afternoon, and I hope that we're going to enjoy our lunch time together. My name is Carolyn Watson, and I am the mother of 3 gifted and talented young people. I motivate mindfulness in humanity based on a theory that art saves lives, and my focus is on saving the life of youth through the transformative world of arts education, training, and presentation. The goal today is to bring an introduction for some and a continued quest for others to better understand the color of ballet as we celebrate Black History in February. We'll take a short track across space and time to enrich and revitalize our relationship to new futures, as in Angela Watson, and past. Whether you know ballet through the world of the big ballet, Bolshoi, Moscow, Russia, or George Balanchine's New York City Ballet, American Ballet Theater's Misty Copeland, Oakland Ballet, San Francisco Ballet, Royal Ballet, Paris Opera Ballet, or the renowned choreographers and American dancers Martha Graham, Katherine Dunham, Arthur Mitchell, or Alvin Ailey, I hope that epiphanies will abound in this experiential saga through the realm of ballet as we put in the work to change the landscape by examining its history related to the color of ballet. Today, we want you to hear through the lens of Black dancers, choreographers who are involved in ballet, and ask, what is the training and professional experience like as they drive through such a dynastic state? It's imperative that we gain the insight of the male and the female dancer who have different purviews and yet both represent a journey from the past to give us history. It is equally important that we look to new futures to glean insight of how the work being done to change the landscape has, or perhaps does not have, continuity of progress as the new futures move to create history. Welcome to our expert panelists, Mr. Savage, Ms. Shelton-Benjamen, and our featured guest, Ms. Angela Watson. Today, we will address the history of ballet from the perspective of the color of ballet. Each guest is dynamic in their respective journey, and they are specific in their quest to do the work. So let's talk to each of them and let's see if we can gain an intuitive grasp of what the reality is in their world. Let's take a look at the past. Cue video, tell me more.
Please continue. I want to just...
No, I was just going to say I'm mentoring a young dancer that's due to go into San Francisco Ballet. Mm-hmm. And I'm able to talk to her about how to develop relationships with the artistic director and what she needs to, how she needs to be for to get into that company, to be a ballerina. You know what it takes. So
yeah, it's this navigating that no one teaches you, especially as a dancer of color. That you're just and that's been so important for me. Like, I need to carry this, give this information to the next generation, as many as I can, because it's so important. Like, for us to continue to progress. Yeah. For all these dancers of color to have these tools going into, so it's not just like starting over with every generation. So it's amazing that you're doing that, because it's so necessary.
I have such pleasure in doing it. Yeah. It's like, we have all this knowledge, and so it's our duty to pass it on.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was Karlya Shelton-Benjamen. And she comes to us from the history and the past of being a principal ballerina at the Dance Theater of Harlem. And she is currently the chair of the 152nd Street Black Ballet Legacy. Welcome, Ms. Shelton-Benjamen.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me and asking me to come. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Now, at Dance Theater of Harlem, you trained in a world of Black dancers under the masculinity of a Black director, Arthur Mitchell. You were surrounded by Blackness most all of the time, and you had the opportunity to stand on a set of very strong shoulders. How important was being in that environment then? And what skills have you gained that you use to mentor a Black emerging dancer like Angela, who is trained and working in a majority white ballet school and company at San Francisco Ballet?
Thank you for asking that question. First of all, I do have the experience of being the only Black person in a white company. That's how I started. And then have the fortune to be part of an all-Black trailblazing ballet company. When I was with Colorado Concert Ballet, it was primarily females that trained us. At DTH, we did have Arthur Mitchell, but we also had Tanakiel Leclerc and Mary Hinkson, Carmen de Lavalade, and we were often visited by Cicely Tyson, who was on our board and who is one of the founders of Dance Theater of Harlem. I had the benefit of being a first-generation member of Dance Theater of Harlem, and I was mentored and groomed by the Black ballerinas and danseuses in addition to Arthur Mitchell and Carl Shook. We did the same for the next generation. Community is deeply rooted in our culture, and it was the culture of DTH. We were a family, and because of this, we became a major international company in a very short time. So Arthur Mitchell was very intense director, and he demanded and expected excellence, not only on stage, but off as well. Angela is a joy to coach and mentor, and our discussions cover matters and solutions both on and off stage. And she gets it. You know, it's wonderful to have someone like Angela that I can pass my knowledge and experience to. We traveled all over the world, encountered all types of people, and worked with some of the world-renowned master teachers and choreographers. The discipline that you receive from dancing, it will always be a part of you, whether you're with a Black company or a white company. Ballet is ballet, and ballet is hard. And there are lots of things that you need to maneuver through. This is what Angela and I talk about.
I really appreciate that thought process, because I can see that in Angela when I speak to her. I can hear the strength that she gains from you as she maneuvers through every day. I speak with her at least twice a day. And I can see where she is continually gaining the strength and understanding what it takes to become a ballerina, no matter the platform, no matter the environment. Thank you, Ms. Shelton-Benjamen. Let's cue the video to change the game. Passing the torch.
There's a price to pay to be good, to be excellent at something, and to be great at something.
Can we go back?
There's a price to pay to be good, to be excellent at something, and to be great at something. You must pay a price. If you all want to just be all right, you're supposed to let me know. So I won't be put in an awkward position to say what I feel like needs to be said to get you to where you say you want to go. Does that make sense? Does that make sense for everybody? So if you're not willing to go there, then you're supposed to say, hey, because that's what it is. What's it going to take for you to be good? What's it going to take for you to be excellent? What's it going to take for you to be great at what you do? 5, 6, 7, and.
Standing upon the shoulders of giants, Reginald Ray Savage leaves inspired impressions upon young Black men who dared to enter his dance class and company. His no-nonsense approach was honed by greats such as Norman Davis, Linwood Morris, and his mentor, Archie Savage, all alumni of the famed Katherine Dunham Performing Arts Training Center in East St. Louis, Illinois.
So I'd like to bring to the discussion Mr. Reginald Ray Savage, who comes to us with a little bit different background, but still the same as Ms. Shelton-Benjamen, in that he was trained by a female director when he first started, who was Black, the great Katherine Dunham, who he speaks very highly of quite frequently. And he also trained in a predominantly Black environment. So, Mr. Savage, how does standing on these shoulders of Miss Dunham transition from you to this young teenager and the other teenagers that you train who are from a variety of cultural backgrounds?
Wow.
What's the strength that you pass on when you pass the torch to these young people?
I'm surprised at how stuck I am.
It's okay.
Going into this has been has made me feel quite lucky to be part of this process. I hope my young brothers and sisters that's out here right now, I have hope. Miss Hurley has hope for becoming that much better dancer than her own self. And that's all we talk about. That's all I talk to them about. Please come in here and work your butt off and lay down whatever you need to do. So the young ones, I want them to be 100 times better than I am. And that's where Miss Hurley and I come from.
I remember when we first walked into the studio with Angela, when we first got that call from the administration at Oakland School for the Arts, which is where you teach. And I remember sending her over to the bar and the young children that were there in your class, grabbing her. Her hair was all over her head. It was a last minute call. She had, made the cut and was invited to come in and learn to catch up because she had only just begun. She didn't know squat. And so your goal was to teach her everything she needed to learn, not to be perfect, but to, we just talked about this yesterday, but to practice to be better, to be the best that she can be. And I think that you gave me a lecture at the time about what was your goal. And I want to say that I really appreciate you, Mr. Savage. I think that you've really kickstarted Angela's career. She had the passion, and you helped her to find the purpose. Now, I want to ask the question of both you and Miss Shelton-Benjamen about these strong shoulders that you have had the opportunity to step onto and to pave a pathway for the new futures of especially Black dancers, Black professional dancers. And now you've got this young person who's standing on your shoulders. And I am always looking and wondering, and so much media about, Black ballet dancers and the controversies and the companies who are really working hard to do the work to diverse their companies, to especially diverse their schools. What is different in the world of ballet for Angela? Is it different? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it the same as the experience that you had, since you've had the opportunity to experience the full Black dance environment as well as the white environment? What do you do to inspire her to make a difference as she moves forward?
I started out making sure that Angela turns into this wonderful, beautiful, inspired person from everybody who has come here to back her up, to inspire, to let Angela know that it's all right to think and feel with bringing in her roots and being heck, I couldn't even do half of what I do because it's a crowded field, but Angela was being around her. Whew, I'm glad I'm starting to smile instead of crying to death. It's just she is a I hate saying this like this, but she is a tough young lady. Yeah. Angela stands there with her hands on her hips, pulled up. If she realized that she hasn't done what she was supposed to do, she still goes out and look for it.
Yes, yes.
And
for that strength. Yeah, and I appreciate all the things you told me when I first came in, because it was all new to me, but it helped me to support Angela. I knew which way to blow the wind. I knew how hard to blow the wind beneath her wings. And I think that was very important for you to not only develop the children under your tutelage, but to also develop their parents. And I think that we can be a little bit of a challenge. And how about you, Karlya? What strength are you offering to the young people that you mentor and coach?
So I'm very fortunate to have stood on the shoulders of people like Lydia Abarca Mitchell and Gail McKinney Griffith, who are here today. I'm glad they came. So I have that I can pass on to Angela. They taught me, what it is to be a ballerina of color, not just a ballerina, but a ballerina of color. And, there's been more changes for dancers of color and more opportunities are becoming available. But that said, it's just not enough. This was a conversation that we had back in the 60s and 70s, and we're still having it. Yeah. So now we're fortunate enough to be in a space where people are seeing and hearing that the world needs to make some major adjustments. We need companies to keep it moving forward so that there's more inclusion and less tokenism.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So would you, I wonder, has the work that's been done, it sounds like you both are saying to me that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but that the work that is being done by all who are participating in this effort to take a look at the color of ballet and to change the landscape, that so far it's successful, but we still have work to do. And I think that it's really easy to see that when we watch this next video and move on to our featured guest, Angela Watson. So let's cue the video of Angela in an interview talking about the 75th anniversary of San Francisco Ballet and how she fits into that.
I remember when you were Clara, because there was a lot of news made about the fact that you were representing a face that many people aren't used to seeing on the ballet stage. Is that important to you, or is that a minor footnote in your path through ballet?
That's absolutely important to me. At first, I never was really aware of it. When I started dancing, I was just a kid who wanted to dance. I saw a dancer on stage. I was like, oh, let me go try that. And so as I was trying to be the best I could be, more people were talking about, oh, you're an African-American dancer, that we don't usually see that. And that hit me around the third year I was dancing, and I was like, that's right. I have to do something about this. Like, so I think just continuing on being the best that I can possibly be, more people like started to look at me more. I think just my existence as like what I'm doing right now, I think that's a political statement in itself, just because, you know, we don't usually see this.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, dancing as Clara was important, not just to Angela, not just to San Francisco Ballet, but to our community, because while she was not the first African-American Clara that danced for San Francisco Ballet, the first ballet company in America, the oldest classical ballet school here in our country, but it had been 3 decades since they had an African-American dance, that leading principal role of Clara. And San Francisco Ballet School trainee, Angela Watson, welcome here today to this panel discussion. Now, I've heard your interviewer from Channel 2 indicate that she sees you and understands you, and people look at you as being one of the world's best of the best as a ballet student and as a top 12 student out of nearly 400 international students at San Francisco Ballet School. You're a San Francisco Ballet trainee and a choreographic fellow, which was awarded to you for the 2021-2022 school year, and San Francisco Ballet David Palmer Scholar. You're also an Anthony Quinn Foundation Arts Scholar and a National Young Arts Scholar, among many other honors. And we appreciate you doing the work. It's really important. You train real hard, daily 9 to 5, plus you train with your trainee ensemble. You spend even more time rehearsing and performing with the company, which you are doing all week long this week. You're doing the work. And the work is evidenced by the fact that you are here. You're in one of the best programs in the world, and you have expectations of rising higher within the world-renowned ballet company of San Francisco Ballet, representing one of the top 3 American companies and one of the top 10 companies in the world. So let's find a little bit more about why you're here. When you first entered Mr. Savage's audition for Oakland School for the Arts dance program, did you have the color of your skin on your mind? I heard in the video that maybe you didn't. How were you accepted in his program when you began your training with him? Did you think about the fact that you were Black? Did it mean anything for you in the world of dance?
No. So to start, when I first got to OSA, Mr. Savage's dance program, I had no prior dance knowledge before going into the audition. So
you were in 6th grade, right?
I was in 6th grade. And when I first got in there, I only did cheer dancing, and this was totally different. And around this time, he would make cuts for the audition. So when I came in, I had no thought whatsoever, like, oh, I'm a Black dancer, I need to show. I just was like, let's go for this. Let's do my best. Let's see what happens. And one thing that I'm very grateful for with Mr. Savage is he ripped the Band-Aid off of this like ballet needs to be pretty like theme, because I think once you introduce people to that theme of ballet needs to be pretty, they don't fight for having an outstanding work ethic. And what he did is he pushed for me to have an outstanding work ethic first, so then I could apply this movement, this
so many different types of movements, so many different schools of thought, schools of dance, techniques, so many different things. But initially, there were also many more Black dancers around me. So I had no thought.
That sounds like there's a continuity of that same forethought when you began being coached by Miss Shelton-Benjamen, because I heard her say something about she needs to teach the dancers just how to be a ballerina. So that's great. Now, did that change for you when you auditioned for the first time in the National Ballet Tours, where you were in a room with 100, 125 kids and you were the only one that looked like you? Did you start thinking a little bit harder? How was that for you? And when you answered the call from San Francisco Ballet School to join them for their summer intensive, and you found out in the room you were the only one that looked like you, how was that for you?
Well, of course, that was very, very hard. Even thinking, well, because Mr. Savage was the one who recommended for me to audition. So I was like, oh, and since I was around a community of kids who looked like me and I was accepted, I was like, okay, let's go. So I went, and I was the only kid of color in the classroom, and I felt immediately alienated. The fiery part of me was like, okay, let's stand out. Let's stand up for myself as a POC. But then as I continued, especially my first summer intensive in the ballet world specifically, I'm going to be completely honest, I did cry in the first week because it hurt so bad. I felt so alone, and there was no one in the room or no one in the building who I could relate to or share my stress and my anxiety and torment with, basically. So that was very hard. When you're first introduced to the ballet world, I think that's a big Band-Aid that you really need to become aware of.
I remember that week. Yeah, we watched a lot of Misty Copeland tapes that week. And,
yes, we did. Yeah.
We did. And it was very encouraging to be able to understand, what you guys are going through and what she had gone through as well. So now you're at San Francisco Ballet School and you've risen through the ranks. You're at the top level position of the school. How is that different now? Has it changed any? Have they been supportive of you at the school? Do you believe they recognize the higher level of work that you have to do because of the color of ballet, being more intense for those who are of color? Or are you more relaxed like when you first started in the 6th grade? Have they become more mindful of the fact that you're a part of the team, even though you're Black, and especially because you're Black? Has that changed?
Yes, it has changed. Throughout my time growing, I think I've been there for 6 years now.
Yes.
And so growing up there, I've seen a few black kids, and I ran straight to them and I became friends with them. And we've inspired each other throughout the way. But of course, some of them have gone to other companies now. We have maybe 2 or 3 other Black students in the school right now.
They're coming up behind you.
Coming up behind me.
Mm-hmm. And you're fighting for that position?
Fighting for that position into the company. However, I would like to change the fact that it's always 2 or 3 or 5 Black dancers in a whole ballet school or company. But it has changed. They've supported me a lot. And I think in my 4th year of dancing there, they're starting to educate the kids more. They're starting to teach Black history, not just history of ballet through the European perspective, but through the African-American perspective as well. So that was something that I'm very proud of that they're starting to do. I see that there's a start and there's a fight for change. So we're getting the ball rolling.
Right.
Yes.
And I think, I think that you're correct. I've been with it, with you through that time. And I'm very, very appreciative of what the artistic staff and the faculty have been doing to educate not just the students, but the audience as well, because I understand that your passion, your goal, your purpose is to dance, but to also dance for the purpose of changing the landscape of ballet on the stage and off the stage. And you have a very extensive process that you go through. You have a lot of things that are coming up. You and I spoke about how expensive it is not to only participate in the training of ballet, but also to attend ballet performances. It can be really expensive when you get into the professional ballet scene. So tell us a little bit about what is coming up for you, and how do those things transition to changing the landscape and the color of ballet?
Yes. So on February 19th, the trainees are getting ready to perform at the Grace Cathedral. We are going to perform for, an audience in a church. And I think that's really great because I think you don't have to, it's not as aristocratic, I guess. And then after that, at the ballet, we're going to be doing performances like Don Quixote. We're also going to be doing Swan Lake.
You have your festival, your own festival.
Yes, and at Essex Ballet School, Spring Festival.
And you're performing this Saturday night, yes?
Yes. I am also performing in Symphony in C, Balanchine's work. So, which is what I'm very excited about. It's very fast and very exciting.
You're creating a huge voice for the ballet world in that you are a choreographic fellow, which means you're working on your own movements, your own pieces to bring to the stage. And I think that's really important since there are hardly any female choreographers, and certainly there are a limited number of African-American choreographers. And do you feel that by going in that pathway as well as dancing will contribute to the work that's being done to change the color of ballet?
Yes, absolutely. For me, my goal is to fight as hard as I can to get on that stage as much as possible, and to fight as hard as I can to get other dancers on the stage. And select Black dancers or select dancers of color for my choreography, or just get my choreography out there on stage. That's something that I know that's my job. That's something that I can do. And I think something that the public can do is, the Black community, come and support your dancers, come and support your people of color. Just come to the ballet, try to find, of course, the tickets are very expensive. So try to find the cheapest ticket, even the cheapest ticket.
I remember at Oakland School for the Art, I think that was really important to show support. We said, we don't care. We're sitting in the balcony and we could see just fine. And those tickets were $20. Well, back then they might've been 10, but today they were just, $20. And I think that that's a fabulous way to support and to learn more and to gain interest and become involved. And so what would be the one most important thing that you would say to those who are following you and what they need to do to stand on your shoulders?
What I would say is find a motivation and stick to it. Do not let anything else, because it's a lot. It's mental exhaustion, physical exhaustion. The politics of ballet that I learned about when I was coming through, I was like, what? There's also this? Little tiny things that artistic directors have. Stick to what you have and what makes you special, and do not try to compare yourself to anyone else. Because when you hone in on what makes you specifically, you're going to stand out. Regardless, you're going to stand out. You're going to shine. You're going to shine. So you have to hone in on it and focus on it and take care of it, baby it, make sure it's This is a very special thing.
Yes. And thank you so much for saying that. And I think that is a wonderful piece of advice to give folks who are coming up behind you. As you said, you do have those who are coming up behind you. I would love to see the companies, the San Francisco Ballet Company, the schools, sponsor, mentorship programs where you too have someone within the company. It's lovely to have people outside of the company, Mr. Savage, Miss Shelton-Benjamen, that's lovely, but how much better would it be, I would think, to have someone inside the company to mentor young emerging stars like yourself. So I hope that the experience that we have is a visionary moment with this insight about the color of ballet. And I hope that this realization changes everyone's understanding of ballet and your comprehension of the world as it looks to change ballet's landscape by changing the color of ballet. We hope to see you at the upcoming San Francisco Ballet and ballet school performances. And we encourage you, as Angela suggested, to support the arts and support youth in arts by supporting organizations like Savage Jazz Dance Company, San Francisco Ballet Company, and the School of Ballet at San Francisco, as well as Preventive Care Pathways, which is a nonprofit organization serving the community, bridging the gap to change the landscape. And there'll be information later on about how you can make these contributions in supporting the ballet in all these various platforms. Thank you for having us as a part of your program today. And we're going to turn it over to Nancy.
Thank you, everyone.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter. But I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out and move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, high like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you. Isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. Bring it to its feet and move mountains. 1,000 times again.